Now, I am going to girth him up today. I don't know how it's going to go. He might buck, he might not buck. I've done what I could do to prepare him for it. If he does buck. This is Tucker. This is the coldback course. You saw me doing the first part of it the other day, where I was just setting the saddle up and pulling it down. I wasn't tightening it or anything. This is the second phase of that. A lot of people do something similar with a lariat rope. I like to do it with a lead rope. It's not real tight. It has a little bit of pressure on it. This has a little bit of stretch. You don't want to do this and tighten it real tight because it is a rope. It does put a lot of pressure in one place. But what I want to be able to do is put pressure on it and release the pressure. Just as if I was tightening the saddle up. I want to prepare him for the tightening of the saddle. You saw in the first video I was setting the saddle up there and I was preparing him to have the saddle on him. In this part right here, I'm preparing him to have the saddle tightened. What I like to do is I'll tighten it to a point so that this isn't, if this was a saddle with the girth, this wouldn't be tight enough to get on. It's not that tight. But what I can do is put a little pressure on it and then release the pressure. I'm not releasing the pressure 100% because I want him to continue to feel the pressure with the saddle tight, with this rope tight, just as if the saddle was on. Because if the saddle's on him, he's not going to get a total 100% release from pressure with the girth underneath. So I don't want to give him a 100% release from pressure. I want him to feel that amount of pressure vary and then release to a point. He's standing here really good. I've been doing this for a couple of days now. What I would do is I'd put the rope on him, come work with it a little bit, pull on a little bit, leave him alone, go work another horse, come back out here, pull on a little bit. So he's worn this rope around his girth for a couple of days now. Today is Monday, and I did not work him over the weekend. So he did have 2 days break. That could affect going forward today. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if the break set him back any. As you see, he's a little worried about it, but it's not too concerned. For the most part, I'm pretty happy with what he's doing. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to take this off, and we'll set the saddle up, and we'll see how that goes. This is step 2, this girth rope. This rope that I was using, that's just my lead rope off the halter. It's a good quality parachute rope, kind of soft, and I like the diameter. It's not too small, it's not too big. Okay, so now, we just had a lot of rain, it's muddy out here. I wouldn't be lunging him in circles, which I don't want to lunge him anyways. I don't want to surprise him with any part of this. I want him to know what's coming. I want him to understand it. See, again, he's put me on his right eye. I talked about that in the last video. Good boy. Throw it up there a few times. Good boy. Let's throw it up a few times from this side. Probably going to shake the fence, pulling my saddle down. I would have rather him follow me and follow me back. Standing in the corner, I don't really care as much for. If he would have followed me, it'd have been a little bit better way of him saying, okay, I'm ready to go forward. Going in that corner is not as good a sign. Little things like that tells me how to proceed forward and what to proceed with. He stood nice for that. Set all this down. Now I am going to girth him up today. I don't know how it's going to go. He might buck, he might not buck. I've done what I could do to prepare him for it. If he does buck, we just keep working on that. If he don't buck, that's great. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring that up. There we go. Now what I want to do here, I'm going to probably not tighten it up tight enough for it to even stay on if he moved. I just want him to feel it, kind of like he felt that rope. Remember from the first video, it's his brain that we're working on. Got his back hunched up a little bit. He's a little worried about it. I don't want to lunge him. Remember the owner said that lunging, if you lunged him, you could ride him. Really don't want to lunge him. I do want him to move his feet. But give him time to take it in. This is all about time, getting his brain to understand what's happening. Let's walk again. Lunging gets his wind up, takes the edge off, but his brain really can't work when he's being lunged. I want his brain to understand what's happening, and I want him to understand that this isn't hurting. See, he let out a lot of air there. I was able to get it pretty tight there. Let's go for another walk. I was able to tighten it a couple of inches there because he had let out enough air that he relaxed. That's a big sign that he was able to relax a little bit. Now at this point, I want to make sure I keep him off to the side, because if he was to buck, I don't want him to buck on top of me. If he was to buck, what I would do is I would go this way, pull his head around, keeping him to my right. And what that would do, that would help pull his brain off of the saddle and onto me. Right now, I want his brain on the saddle because I want him to think about it. I'm not going to pull his brain away from the saddle and onto me unless his brain starts to get overwhelmed. That's probably not tight enough to ride, but that's tight enough it ain't going to fall off. Now what I'm going to do from here, just like I left him alone to wear the rope, I'm going to leave him alone to wear the saddle. I'll come back periodically a couple of times through the day and just check the saddle. It's not tight enough that it's really going to hurt him for wearing it a few hours. Put my lead rope up there just so it's not dragging on the ground. And now I'm going to walk away. He might buck when I walk away. I hope not. We'll see. That's a good sign. Again, I would rather him want to come to me to ask me, okay, this is okay. Come to me for reassurance. That's what I would prefer. But I will accept this. He's going and standing over there in the corner, which is actually by his feed bucket, so that's not that big a deal. But he's not going and running around the round pen bucking either. So it's not as good a result as I would like to get, but it's definitely a result in the right direction. So I bet you by the end of the day today, he'll be following me when I go to leave him. What I'll do, in fact, I'll show you right now. What I will do throughout the day is I will come back into the pen with him. I'll take the lead rope and we'll go for a walk around the pen. This is going to do a couple of things. When he's standing there in the corner, one of the things he's going to be thinking about is that saddle. And sometimes a horse will kind of stand still and almost focus on something in front so they can ignore the saddle. This is going to make it so that he can't ignore it. When I come and make him walk a circle, I will also check the tightness. I want to make sure that it's not so tight that it's going to give him any kind of girth rubs or swelling. Sometimes when you have a horse that hasn't been saddled a whole bunch, you will get some swelling under here after you take the saddle off. I want to make sure the tightness is good. Not worried about it getting tight enough for me to get on. That might be tight enough for me to get on. And then I'll put the rope back up and walk away again. Good boy. Good boy. That was better that time. Good boy. We're getting improvement. This is what I want to see. I'm going to leave him here for an hour or two, and then I'll come back and put my hands on him again and walk him around, and we're going to keep building on that. I like what we're getting now.